Give me a little rundown of who is Frank.
Ready when you are.
I'm ready.
Alrighty. My name is Frank. I'm a grateful alcoholic, and this is my story. My name is Frank. I live in Rockland County, New York, not too far away from New York City, and I'm a first responder who's in recovery. I've been a first responder for 4.5 years. Before that, I volunteered at the firehouse for about 3 years, so I always try to give back. But I played college football at SUNY Cortland. Then I got into powerlifting, enjoyed that, and then kind of got sick and had to restart all over again. But when I restarted all over again, I found Strongman about 3-4 months ago in September, and it's now December 30th, 2019. And I didn't drink every day. I drank socially, but I was drinking because I was coping to forget about some real life situations. And tomorrow, New Year's Eve, I actually will be celebrating 100 days sober of no alcohol. This is probably the strongest I've ever been physically and mentally. I work out because it just keeps me sane, it keeps me going. Everything stems from your childhood and on up, so you gotta look at it as a playground. I have no competition besides myself. Once you start competing against other people in the gym, it turns into a whole different ball game. And I got into Strongman in September, and it really helped save my life, change my training, and something else, you know. It's a lot of different variations, and it pushes you. You're lifting, like Eddie Hall said, you know, any bodybuilder is in great shape, and they're getting judged by judges. In Strongman, I mean, you're lifting things for reps, and you can just flat out say, I'm stronger than you. Strongman, no one cares about your max. No one cares about your percentage. It's what you do on the day of the competition. It's a lot different than powerlifting. A lot different. You don't have a lot of rest. You don't have as many warm-ups. You kind of just go into it, and you just gotta fucking lift. And you have to fucking find that dark place, and kind of just pretend nothing else exists besides you and that bar. You know how hard it is to mentally try to black out everything right now? Really challenge you mentally, and I treat Strongman like how I treat my real life situations, and being a first responder and training, and mentally every time I go in there I train as if I'm training for my life. Out in the gym, you fucking slam the weight like a douchebag. Look at it, snap my wrist and ruin my career. But you live and you learn. It's part of the game. It's what not to do. You know, I go in there and things out in first responder. If you're a cop, if you're a firefighter, if you're EMS, you know, you sometimes you got to drag bodies. You pick them up, and then you got to drag them to how many yards for safety, right? You got to pick people up. Sometimes you got to toss them. If you're a cop, you got to try and handcuff people, and it's not easy. You know, it's not easy. Try handcuffing a 16-year-old girl who's pissed by herself. Good luck, right? See how many minutes it's going to take. So that's how I look at life, and you know, it's more of a mental. It's a mental game. You got to enter the abyss. Once you're in it, there's no coming out. You got to fight through it. Can't take my belt off. Glad that's over. Right now I'm turning into Bardonia Oriental. This is where I get my food. Dave used to be a bodybuilder, and he does the right thing, and he respects clean eating and strength, and I'm going there and test it out and see what he's got. Hey, what's up? How you doing? You're a former bodybuilder yourself, and
I try my best.
You know,
You
know how much eating it takes place in.
Oh my God, yes. It's all about eating. You don't need to work out, but you still lose weight. That's the whole idea. And water is the source of healthy. Everything is about water. What do you like to, Frank?
I'm going to do 8 meals.
Okay.
And I'll
sure.
come back later whenever you let me know the time.
Okay, yeah. Okay, what would you like?
We'll do, give me a second. We'll go 4 6-ounce chicken.
4 6-ounce steamed chicken or grilled chicken?
Grilled chicken.
4 6-ounce grilled chicken, okay.
Cup of green beans.
What kind of string bean, okay?
And you have sweet potatoes tonight?
No, I only got a regular potato.
Regular is
Yeah.
fine. That's fine.
You want some grilled potato?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like about, a half a cup to a cup, whatever you got to do.
Grilled potato. Okay.
So 4 of those.
Yep.
Same thing, but 2 salmons.
Okay, 2 salmon. Okay, the same thing, potato, string bean.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then 2, same thing, flank steak, 6-ounce.
Flank steak, 6 ounce. Okay.
And I'll come here for my meals because you can't beat the food, first of all, and you can't beat the price. I don't have to get it delivered to my house, extra tax, extra shipping. Just right in front of you. So I'll usually ordered 8 meals, so that'll last me 4 days, 2 meals a day. I try to have a shake, and then in the morning I'll try to have a bar, even though I hate eating not processed foods. Like, I say, everyone asks me what they should eat. I said, if it comes from the earth, eat it. If it's man-made, stay away. That's if you're trying to lose weight and all the sugars and the excess carbs and fats. But I'll eat an oatmeal in the morning, maybe some peanut butter, some fruit, an apple, a banana, and then as the day goes on, I'm a big fan of the Optimum Nutrition, those protein almonds, chocolate covered. That stuff is real good. But and I like the Isopure. That's really good. It's fucking like 40 grams of protein water, and it don't taste too bad. Not a lot of sugar. If you need a quick, post-workout, pre-workout. And that's it. I'll usually eat at work, take my meals with me, and that's really it. I mean, I really gotta be more consistent with my meals. If you see these guys that make nationals and they get their pro card, it's like a science, it's chemistry, everything is in place. Your diet, your sleep is the most important thing. Everyone says it, that's where the most recovery, your testosterone, your muscle, your repairs, everything just gets, reprocessed when you sleep. And I heard someone say sleep, diet. You just heard Dave say you don't have to work out, you can eat and lose weight. Sleep, diet, and then working out. Those are like the A, the B, the C. And that's how you get, the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter in football. Then you get to the fourth quarter, and then you have all 3. And you got the perfect play call. But like anything else in life, if you want to get stronger, you could do that. If you want to get smarter, you read. You study harder, you put in more time. The thing about that is consistency. A lot of people, it takes 21 days to break a habit. So a lot of people, like, I just said about drinking, smoking cigarettes, smoking weed, whatever you do, it takes 21 days to break that. And by the way, being in recovery, I'm not really talking about how it's, how I got into it really, but how it's been treating me is the best thing in my life. I don't have to worry about things. I can control my life, and God or your higher power, they put you on this earth to, not have alcohol, not have drugs. God didn't make any of that. Your higher power didn't make that. It was all man-made. So, if you really sit back and think about it, like, wow, how much money did I spend when I'm drinking? How much extra calories did I gain? How much did I just, Elliot Holst, I'm a big fan of him, strength camp, he told us 3 days it takes about your body just to recoup from one night out, 3 days. So that's just going to mess up your sleep and messes up everything. And, I have no complaints, and you can think better, you sleep better, and everything happens. And You know, every time you work out, more serotonin, more dopamine, you know, your endorphins, norepinephrine, it all goes up. Those are the main chemicals in your brain. So, you know, I live my life one day at a time, and one lift at a time, one set at a time, one rep at a time. And it sounds corny. It does sound really corny, but it's really the only way to live. So, on that note, I'm about 3 weeks out from New York's Strongest Man, and my second show. My first show I placed in the novice. My first show, 6 out of 20. Which is not bad. Of course, when you compete, you want to place and win. But they didn't have an open class, so I weighed in like 195. And first place was like 305. Second place weighed probably 250. Third place was like 275. But, you know, that's excuses. And this show should be a lot more fun. And I did my last show a month ago, so I've only had really 3 weeks to train for the show. And you can feel the stress and the stimulus on your body and your nervous system, you know. So after this, I can't wait to just follow a nice strength and conditioning program and have fun. So that's all I got for tonight, December 30th, 2019. Tomorrow's New Year's. Have a blessed New Year's, everyone. 2020. Don't wait to make those changes. Don't wait till January 1st. Make them tonight, make them tomorrow. Stay strong, stay sober, stay squatting. Yeah, I just made that up on the spot. How you doing? Good night. So these 3 weeks have been pretty hectic. I strained my bicep on a sandbag, picking it up, and it just gave out. Last Wednesday, 10 days before the show, I have bronchitis and upper respiratory infection. So that's, it's just part of the game, you know. Can't complain about it. It is what it is. It's not going to not compete. I've been doing a lot of rehab with my bicep, and Eric, his Instagram is like Hybrid PR. He's helped me a lot already. In 2 days, I went to him, and the lifting doc in Pearl River, Castro. He's the sports chiropractor. He's been there and helped me a lot. So injuries just come with the sport. And my first show in December, I actually I strained this bicep, my arm, my tendons, lifting a log at 60% back in November 1st. It's actually the day of Halloween, October 31st. I'm a liar. October 31st, I strained my bicep, and that was an injury 5 weeks out. I couldn't really lift for like 2 weeks. I'm a strongman in my mind, amateur strongman. Hopefully one day to go to a higher level, former powerlifter, NYPD police officer, coach over football at Clarkstown North. I was a volunteer fireman in high school, did that for 3 years, Congress Fire Department. The day before my 18th birthday, I achieved the rank of Eagle Scout and Boy Scouts, which was pretty cool. That was a lot of hard work. So been involved in, Firehouse, Eagle Boy Scouts. Got a lot of shit for that growing up, but it worked out. Football, it's all team aspect, team camaraderie there. I went to RCC, studied criminal justice for 2 years, but there was something missing, and it was that team aspect. I was missing football a lot. So I went to one of my former coaches and said, I want to play college football, and he kind of laughed, and he saw how serious I was, and we made a plan and followed that plan for 150 days, no drinking. And I did drink a little bit, more socially on the weekends, nothing crazy, nothing to the effect of that would jeopardize anything. And so I gave up drinking for 150 days. I ate really clean. I started doing strength and speed and agility. 4 months, 150 days, basically no cheat meals, no alcohol at all. I ended up walking on to the Cortland football team. So after RCC, I went and played at SUNY Cortland for a year and a half. And then that's when I got into powerlifting. But, just from not drinking 150 days, I put about 50 pounds on all my lifts, all 3 lifts, bench, squat, and deadlift. Probably more in the deadlift and the squat, maybe a little more. But I just remember waking up, going to Clarkstown North, working out with my coach, leaving Clarkstown North, going to RCC, showering actually at the gym there, going to RCC, going to class. After going to class, Tuesdays and Thursdays I would do speed development and agility, and then I would work out at Premier Fitness over in Nanuet, New York, which was a very well-known gym at the time. And I did that, so 2 days. And I also worked at ShopRite. I remember talking to my boss saying, hey, listen, I need to do like 15 to 20 hours a week because I'm basically trying to play college football. And they were cool with it, and they let me. It was a big process, and I had a lot of support, but I ended up walking on, and I studied criminology at Cortland. I didn't even know I was studying criminology until one time in senior year. I thought it was criminal justice. That's how focused I was on football, just to play football. And, the teacher was like, this is a criminology degree, and I raised my hand. I said, holy shit, literally out loud. What? I thought this was criminal justice the whole time, and like a few other people laughed, and they said the same thing. They had no idea. And, you're really studying why perpetrators and people commit the crimes they do, the psychology part behind it, the sociology part behind it, the environment they're brought in. So it was more of like a psych and a sociology major, and why criminals act the way they do. And I graduated with a bachelor's in criminology. And then I ended up working part-time as a personal trainer. As I was in Cortland, I got the AFA personal training certificate. So they had a course. I signed up. I studied for 3 days. A lot of the guys were like exercise science, kinesiology majors. Studied for 3 days, took the background I knew in lifting, and I passed it. And I used that. I did a little personal training. I worked as a physical therapist aide for a few months until I joined, I got into the police academy in 2015 with the NYPD. So the volunteer stuff all got from my father. He's been a volunteer fireman in Congress for 40 years. My uncle was FDNY. He had retired because of 9/11. They've always just been involved in the town and everything. And, just watching them, you kind of subconsciously just become a part of that. And that's where I got all the volunteer background from. Working out, my dad really doesn't lift weights. No one in my family really is into working out. Like, I didn't have a dad that did powerlifting, bodybuilding, into that. I just did, that was all like a self-taught thing. And when junior year of high school was 140 pounds. Senior year of high school was 150 pounds. I was never the biggest kid. I was, really physically I was, I guess, normal. Not that strong, not that weak. I was in the middle. And after I started working out really, like a few months going into my junior year, I realized, how much of the turnover it is. And I don't believe in regrets in life. It's all learning experiences. But if I did have to go back, and one regret, I guess, kind of contradict myself, is I didn't work out and start focusing on myself like freshman year of high school and working out and making myself a better athlete and a better person overall. So as I started seeing the strength gains, and I got, actually, the first program I ever followed was P90X in my living room every day, 90 days. I did it, and I got pretty cut up, built a little muscle, my endurance went up, and I said, wow, you know, Tony Horton, I'll never forget those stupid sayings he said, ab ripper X, crunchy frog, or he's like, I love it, but I hate it, you know, and it's so true. Everything about the fitness world is that you love it, but you also, the training, it's not easy. So that's kind of where I came into play with that, and then it just took off. Like I said, when I was in RCC, I started lifting weights. I followed like 531 basic programming, read that up online, T-Nation. There's so much free shit out there. It's unbelievable that people just, you know, you don't have to hire a personal trainer. You don't have to hire a nutritionist. You can kind of just play with yourself, but it's also good to have a guide and show you the way for a little bit and learn. So after I did 531, that's when I started getting a little stronger. And then I realized, you know, I want to play college football. And that's when I followed a program called Bigger, Faster, Stronger. That got me really strong when I was eating really good, not drinking, and kind of just, it's going to sound kind of crazy, but there's guys out there that do it. Like I just would, every night before I went to bed and every night I woke up, I would just play 8 tracks. It was before, like, it was around Pandora, before Spotify, and they had like motivational workout videos and music. And I just listened to guys like Mark Bell, Brandon Lilly, Corey Gregory. He used to be part of Muscle Farm. Just Arnold Schwarzenegger, inspirational videos, and it was just subconsciously pounding away in my brain about, you know, working hard and doing things. And, you know, I got so addicted to that it became a lifestyle. And when I was training for football also, I used to have to run a mile every day. My coach said, you have to do it no matter what. Then I would go a mile a day, 2 miles a day, 3 miles a day, and I couldn't go to bed without running that mile or that 2 mile. I was just so addicted to that runner high, the endorphins. And that's kind of, I remember running one time to Clarkstown North from my house. It was like 4 miles and doing a squat workout. And that was just ridiculous. I used to have the backpack. I looked like a turtle. And I would have the backpack on with the water coming out, Camelback, that's what it's called. And I would just walk around town with that and run everywhere. It was crazy, but it was good. And I weighed in at 163 pounds, and maybe I gained 1 pound in 150 days, but everything turned into muscle, and my strength shot up. I remember going to parties sober, you know, and I'm a freshman in college or sophomore in college now, going to parties and have to leave early because the DB Mart was closing because of muscle milk. I had to get a muscle milk. I had to leave the party, and I had to go, you know. And people knew that I was friends with, you know, while I was leaving, or they knew I wasn't drinking. They didn't really get bothered. I remember people calling to me and trying to give me a beer, like, yo, just take 1 sip. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And they would just joke around, but I didn't, you know, I had that vision, I had that goal, and that's kind of what chased after it. So the volunteer and the football was, and the working out, those were like 2 different paths I kind of collided into one. So I kind of self-taught the workout and the hard work, and the volunteer was just subconsciously pounded on me, and kind of just saw a lot of people, knowing my family, my parents, my dad, looked up to my mom, my dad especially. And I'm named after my dad. I'm Frank the Fourth, he's Frank the Third. So for some reason, like some Game of Thrones bullshit was just in my head. Just like, all right, well, I wanted to be just like my dad. And then as time goes on, you can see the good and the positive and the negative of that. I used to train over at a gym, and I said, you know, I'll get into Strongman once I hit a 600-pound deadlift. I'll go to the dark side. You know, I was so focused in deadlifting like 600 pounds, which I still haven't hit this day. And I'm just so focused on that. That's all I really gave a shit about. You know, I'm 22, 23, and that's all I cared about was deadlifting 600 at 180 pounds. It was just an obsession of mine. And something happened to me, and I stopped working out for a long time. And for about a year, 2018, I didn't work out at all. And I kind of had to regroup, and I just said, you know what, I want a different change up. And I've done CrossFit. I'm not a fan of CrossFit. Just not for me. It's just not for me. That's another story. And then I was like, you know, I'll give Strongman a try. And it correlates really to being a first responder. If you're a fireman, if you're an EMS, EMT, if you're a cop, you feel like you're training for something else. You know, you're not just picking objects and putting them down, you're picking them up and carrying them a distance. So it correlates in the real world. If you have to drag a body out of a car off the street somewhere, you have to pick someone up, your partner, you know, and it's time. It's all timed events. So that time, every fucking second counts. You know, it really does correlate to the real world. You know, when every you know, a life is on the line and you have to save someone, it's just like, you know what, all right, give me a second, I gotta put a belt on, let me do a few warm-up reps. Like, you know, it's not like that. And strongman is one event, one shot. You know, powerlifting, you have 3 attempts, 9 attempts. You know, everyone knows that if you're into powerlifting. Strongman is you have 1 attempt, you do it, and good luck. That's it. You go balls to the wall and hope for the best, and that's it. If you mess up, there's no second or third attempt. So that strongman was keeping me to get into a different world, a different reality, and it kind of kept me focused because there's so many different events to train for. Recovering alcoholic, this Saturday will be 4 months in recovery. So I went through a bad spell in 2018, in the beginning of 2019, very dark place. And even, you know, I thought I had my whole life planned out and I was doing all the right things, I thought, making all my, you know, I like to set a goal, and when I set it, I like to achieve it. And, you know, if I really focus, there's nothing that's going to stop me to achieve that, no matter what it is. I've been sober since September, and I didn't drink every day, but I knew I had an issue with drinking because even back in college, so after 150 days, I really didn't drink much before that. After I made the football team, that's when the partying kind of started. And even in football, in college, in Cortland, you know, I had to go to the library once a week. I had study hours. I couldn't go out on Friday nights. So it was like once a week. And then after football, I kind of would go out twice a week, 3 times, you know, depending. It all depends. But it didn't get in the way of my life that dramatically, you know. I had like I graduated with 3.4 or 3.5, I don't remember. I didn't miss a workout no matter what. But I still would wake up and feel guilty, or even though I didn't do anything wrong, I felt guilty. I would have panic attacks, and I was like, you know, I don't know, to the extreme. I never said anything to anyone, but I just felt like shameful for drinking in general. It was like God smiting on me, like, you know, well, these are your sins. You know, this is what you're getting for drinking. Panic attacks and feeling like shit and feeling worthless. And I'm just like, all right. So that goes on for a few years, and then I made a job change from NYPD over to a department in Rockland County, and that's when everything went wrong. And that'll be a different time for another place, but obviously I went back to NYPD. So recovery so far, this is definitely the strongest I've been mentally and physically in a long. I always used to say, you know, when I back, you know, as the years, Cortland was about 2013-ish, 2012, 2013 season I played, and it was like, you know, as the years progressed, I would say, oh, you know, the strongest I ever been mentally and physically was when I didn't drink all summer. I didn't drink for 150 days. I was training for college football, and I would say that as the years go on, you know, and I was really focused. And then now I realize, like, why did I just use that as an excuse? Like, why didn't I just do that a few years ago? You know, and now I think about, if I never, you know, the only drug I ever took in my life was alcohol. Alcohol is absolutely a drug. It's one of the worst drugs in the world. It's so easy to access. You can only die from alcohol withdrawal. And it's just, it's insane what it really does to you. It takes over your life. And if I didn't drink, you know, these past 4 or 5 years, and I wasn't drinking every day, it was social drinking, you know, after work, you know, and it didn't affect my job, it didn't affect, you know, anything. It affected some relationships, because I'd always want, you know, if we're out, I'm out, you know, I put the boys and drinking first instead of I should have put other people first, and I realized that, and that's what recovery is all about. But if I didn't drink all these years, you know, I probably would be at top where I want to be in the fitness world, you know. I guess I consider myself okay strong. Like, I'm not elite, I'm not top, I'm like in the middle compared to everyone else that lifts. And, you know, now I think about not drinking, and if I would have just followed that path after football, it would have been, my life would be totally different. But then again, I wouldn't be where I am right now. So, you know, it had to have happened the way it did. So recovery in itself is a blessing. It's something that needs to be talked about more, and this is why I'm making this video, to kind of show what can happen in recovery. And it's not easy, you know. It takes a lot of hard work. It's probably the hardest thing I ever done. I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder, and that's probably my best achievement I've ever made in my life. In 27 years I've been on this planet, is beating that and, you know, destroying my ego, my inner self, and kind of just finding out who I am. It took me 26 years to find out who I am, 27 years, and I'm still finding out who I am every day. But now it took me to really know what bothers me, what affects me, you know, and kind of control what I can control and not think about other things. And that's another topic, if anxiety, depression, what it's all about, what causes it, and from there. But yeah, recovery has definitely been a big part of my strongman. I look at strongman and recovery kind of just connecting at the same time. Another two paths coming in and connecting. I had my first show December 14th of 2019 over in Pennsylvania, and it was a great atmosphere. Definitely new, and I competed in the novice class, and it's basically the novice and strongman is broken up into two weight classes: 220 and under, 220 and above. So I weighed in at 195 in December 20th, and December 14th, sorry. And you know, this show, they had the novice open. So I did the show. I did pretty well for my first show. I came in 6 out of 20. I missed a big stone at the end and a deadlift that could have put me maybe on the podium if I would have hit this. But the first place guy, he weighed 305 pounds. Second place was 250. Third place was like 6'8", 270, 260, maybe more. So it was just cool to kind of be with those guys, you know, and you know, they're novice as well. But it was cool just to be with those guys and train with and compete against bigger guys. So I'm happy with my first show and hitting some different PRs. And I never attempted a 300-pound stone in my life. And that's another thing about strongman, is that it's hard to get access to find gyms that has the tools. Who has a log? Who has a stone? I've been like a guy, kind of like a lone wolf, bouncing from gym to gym and different things all over. And it's kind of hard to find out who has the farmer carries, the yoke, the stone, the log, the axle bar. You go on and on. So that was, you know, running around from place to place. So it was interesting. And I finished that show December 14th, and then I was looking on the computer, and they have New York's Strongest Man in Westchester, and I was like, huh, how can I not do this? It's 15 minutes from my house. And I very lucky enough that Brendan Lilly was one of my helped me prepare for this show. Dutch Kills Fitness in Queens, in Long Island City, helped me out. Danny Toshi, she is my nutritionist. She helped me out, so I don't want to forget those shout outs. But you know, I asked Brendan Lilly and Iron Fist Athletics. They have some cool equipment, so I don't want to forget them. And Powerhouse 90 Wet, I trained there. So I was training at 3-4 different gyms for this show, and it's a lot of traveling, you know. And with the job, you know, being a Leo, being a first responder, the hours obviously aren't easy to deal with. So I reached out to Brandon. I said, you know, thanks a lot for the show. Thanks a lot for helping me prepare. And I told him about this show in a month, and he said, do it. And I asked the other coaches, and they just said, why not? Do it. We'll see what you're really at. Now you have a little taste for strongman. Let's see what you can do. So I said, fuck it, I'm in. So 3 weeks now to train for New York Strongest Man in White Plains. You know, it's kind of virtually impossible to get strength in 3 weeks if you're not taking any steroid or pro hormone. So I've just been working on conditioning and technique, and the show's more conditioning based than the last show, I feel like. And they have a under 220 weight class novice, which I'll be competing in, and that should be fun. And you know, again, I'm there to compete and try to do the best I can. And you see, then I just quote myself, you know, the word try, to do the best I can. You know, Yoda says, do or do not, there is no try. So I really love that quote. And so to do the best I can, and then now I'll be able to put myself where I want to be, see where I'm at, and then follow an actual program for 3, 4, 5 months, and then compete later on. And after this show, I'll really see where I'm at and try to stay at a nice lean 190, solid 190, and build from there and compete with the lightweight at 181 and see how it goes, you know. I'm kind of just focused on staying lighter for now, and who knows how I'm really going to look at if I'm over 200 pounds, 215, 220, because my body type is really not meant for that. But, you know, that could just be an excuse. Who knows? I've never really been there. Since I've been training strongman and being in recovery, I've lost 21 pounds So this is really exciting. This is a good moment for me. This is kind of a selfish way to say it, but this is for me to, to beat depression. I say major depression because it was rough. It was bad, very bad. And to be where I'm at now, and Strongman keeps me in recovery. It helps. It helps me focus, keeps me busy, keeps me pushing, motivated. So it's just a help. It's like going to an AA meeting or seeing a therapist. For me, it's 20 times better. I can let out my feelings, my expressions, and seeing myself grow. That's what this world is all about. Frankie B here. Thanks for checking out the video. I hope you enjoyed a little mini documentary on how my life is starting Strongman in recovery. Big things to come. Doing another show at the end of April in the 181 class. And also, stay tuned for Reps for Responders. You can follow me in the journey at reps_for_responders. Long story short, I'm opening up a first responder gym, free for all military and first responders, volunteer or not, retired or not. So if you want to learn more about this, follow me on Instagram, hit me up. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel for more talks on being a first responder and battling addiction, depression, anxiety, all those good things, that people don't want to talk about. So, peace out. Stay strong, stay sober, stay squatting. How you doing? Frankie B out of here.